And yeah, warm welcome also from our side, from Device Trust. Just the two guys of us, it's myself, it's Sasha, and we have a new guy on board since beginning of October, is Sven. So Sven, we will see how that works with this control panel here to get your part also presented by yourself. If not, we need to look, and then I will do this. Yeah, that's the two guys. And Sven, I said, is I think most of you guys maybe know it from the in Germany. He started in October, and he wanted to do also part of this discussion. So just as a gentle reminder, as usual, we provide community license. So if you're interested later on to see, hey, it sounds quite interesting, I want to test it on WVD or on Citrix or VMware or whatever, then just go to this website and you can apply for a 12 months unlimited license for yourself. And the agenda for today is it's all about contextual security, and we will give a short overview about the upcoming release. Should be scheduled on next week, Friday. And the next bit is, and I think this is I really like, is the AppLocker stuff. We say it's okay, but there's more about it. And I think we learned a lot during this COVID-19 crisis with our customers about Microsoft AppLocker, and we would like to share this knowledge to you, what we're doing. And last but not least, that's the part for Sven. It's about another lesson we learned is about secure remote access, and it is amazing what we see or what we saw in our customer scenarios. And we just want to highlight it also to the community, and we want to show you what we are doing to address those challenges. And this is the agenda for today. Before I start, a very strong message from our marketing. You see here now our new corporate identity. If you go to our website, it still looks in the old design. We will change that next week. And we say contextual security is the only way to protect your digital workspace. What we mean with that, just as a gentle reminder to set the scene on the start. So we are saying, if you know the context, then you can apply the right set of actions. And as you can see here on the left-hand side, we have all the different metadata we can collect, and with this metadata we can define context, and based on the context we can apply the right set of actions. And I think most of you guys have seen that in the past, so I'm not going and repeat that again. So I'm going more specific into specific areas, as I said on the agenda, about the contextual security. But for those of you which never seen that before, just a quick one. So we have here two sessions. This is a Citrix session, that's a VMware session. We could also add a Windows Virtual Desktop, Amazon Workspaces, native RDP, whatever. And what we say about contextual security is about knowing the context and apply the right set of policies. And I'm just demonstrate that as a simple demo. So if the security state on the remote device is changing during session runtime, as you can see, we can react within the virtual environment based on that context. And that gives you a simple reminder what contextual security means. We know the context of the remote device, and based on that context, we can act within the virtual environment. And this not only ends with conditional access, this also goes into next level if we, and this is just a demo purpose. So if I have here my critical WordPress application in my sessions, and if I switch on a public Wi-Fi on my endpoint, and that's not a real-time value, it's a value which we check every minute normally, but here within 10 seconds, we can react in the virtual session of this new connected network on the endpoint, and we can deny now access to WordPad in the published desktop. And all this kind of magic we do in the virtual environment as well as on FAT clients. And this was just a simple reminder for you what we mean with contextual security. So we take the context and react on the local device or in the remoting environment based on that. So, and the icon should come back now. Perfect. So that was just a gentle reminder. So what we are doing in 20.2, one of the major changes for us is a way how we provide our policy to the target system. So I'm thinking here more from a remoting scenario. So in the middle, you have your VDA or VMware Horizon, your Windows Virtual Desktop, your whatever you use remote PC. And this part, we need to install our device trust host, and the host is the one which makes all the magic, no? To deny access, to allow application, deny application, etc. And the big question was always, also from the community in the past, is how can we get the policy to the device trust host. And in the old days, we have done that purely on group policies or local policies or registry values, but there's a new option now on that, and this is file-based policy. And that's essential and required because we have lots of discussions with customers say, oh, the AD team, this is a complete different team. We're not really talking to them. And can we have another way how we can manage device trust on our EUC environment? And we have introduced here file-based policy, and I want to demonstrate it to you that you see how it works. And that's a new bit on the next release. Let me sign out here, and I go into my virtual environment and I show it to you. So first of all, we need, if we talk about file-based config, we need somewhere a reference. So we need to create somewhere a reference config. And I'm doing that in a group policy object, but this is not enabled. So it will be not activated on any system. But what I'm doing inside here, I decide my policies I want to apply to my EUC environment. No? So for example, I created lots of, we used some of our templates. One was we only want to secure endpoints accessing our environment. The other one was another template where we say only authorized USB sticks can be used, for example. No? And this is normally in the old way. We deployed this policy to the target system, and that's it. And now we have the possibility to define our policies, and now we can go into sharing. And we can now say export to disk. So what we can do, we say, oh, we want this context with this action. And now we can export this policy as a file-based policy to disk. And we just need to move this, this policy file over to the target. And this is done by customers with the software deployment tools. It's done with a script when the worker starts up. So it's different ways. I think you guys all know about it. This is not very big fancy stuff. And what we have done here on our side, we have already exported a couple of policies to us, and it's end of the day, it's up to you if you want to create everything in one big policy or if you want to have separate snippets. It's up to you. We support also merging and etc. But I want to give you, as I said, a simple overview about that. So I have here a simple configuration. This is also learning from the COVID-19 crisis, a compliance check, but not with conditional access, what you have seen before. It's more about a notification, and my colleague will talk later more about it, why we have this kind of stuff. And what we normally need to do, we want to activate now this policy in device trust. So what we have generated on the target system under C, program data, device trust is a new folder called policy. And if I drop into this config file into this folder, we will read it. I think you all guys know that from FS Logic's app masking. But we put another security level on top of it to make it really secure. So if I would now go and out of the box, we talk about default config. If I would now take this config file, and for sure we can control via NTFS who can drop files into here, etc. You know that. If I drop this file into here, this is fine, I can do. But we will see here, this is our event log, nothing happened. So we are not reading this file out of the box because we have an additional security method, which is default, which says only certain members or certain accounts can do this. No? We are a command line utility, and this is what I want to demonstrate to you first. So to have this additional bit of security, only certain users can import that with a specific command. And this is a command. I'm zooming in a little bit that you can see that. DTCMD is a command processor which is part of our installation. And then I can say I want to add a certain config file. So I'm doing that. And as you can see, operation complete successful. And if I look now into the event log, you see immediately, oh, we found a new policy to load from file, and we found a default policy. The default policy in our environment always has the license, but we can merge both together. And if the user is now signing in to this environment, which we are configuring right now, this policy is immediately active, no? And I can use it. And this, as said, is a new way how we can manage and deploy device trust policies down to the endpoint, to the target systems. And this policy is doing a compliance check, but is not turning it into a conditional access. It's turning it into a a friendly reminder to the user that on February 4th, we will, if the endpoint does not meet our requirements anymore, we will deny access. So this is just this kind of thing. And if I sign out this, because I need to sign out the user, because when the user signs in, he gets the latest device trust config. And if I do a change during session runtime, we will not use a new config for the existing sessions. So what I'm doing now is I remove this config now again. It's a command for that, which allows me to remove this file from disk. Again, then it's done, it's completely removed, as you can see. And now I will add another config. So the other config is, one second. No, the other config, we do it the other way. One second. You see, we do everything live and in color. We add now another config, and this other config, and this is what I want to show you, it's now changing the behavior of this file-based policy. So when I show you that quickly, under settings here, you can define the behavior of the file-based policy out of the box. We can only import policy files based on a certain user or service group, or we can change it to load all policy files which are just in that folder. And this is what I will now enable to show you all of the other way. And this is within this configuration here. So I need to take this config. I need to firstly add this config to the system. And this has happened. And after this has happened, you see a new entry here. It takes 2, 3, 4 seconds. Then you see, it's loaded, and now I have switched this file-based policy settings, and now I can just drop files into here. So just go into here, drop the file in, and it reads automatically this policy, because we have disabled now this additional security layer we put on top of it. So now I'm able to just drop files into it, and we read this immediately, and I can use it on my platform when I'm accessing. So that's a new feature. We call this file-based policy, which comes with 20.2.100 next week, Friday. And there's much more things about other features, but this is one of the major stuff, is how to deploy device trust to make that really, really simple. So as I see it now, this new config says now, if the endpoint does not meet my requirements anymore, we don't get access. That was a new config. And if I want to remove a config file, I just go into the folder in that instance and just delete the config file. And that enables our customers. So if I go into here, I use this compliance check, just delete this. Our host is identified around about 5 seconds afterwards. That's what we have configured. So after 5 seconds, the host find out, oh, there's one file removed, so there's a new config now available. So and this allows our customers and partners to create very simple configurations and put it into a file-based and just use it for demo purpose or for production environment to enable this kind of stuff. So that was one part of it. The next part is, the next part is talking about AppLocker. So we say, okay, but there's more to it. I think AppLocker is a fantastic technology from Microsoft, and we learned a lot since we started the business 5 years ago. And I think if I would like to summarize Microsoft AppLocker, because we're using AppLocker, for example, as well as FSLogic's app masking or Ivanti application control, to deny access to applications based on the context. No? So we are not reinvent the wheel again, because why should we do another AppLocker? Because it's already something there, which is great, as well as FSLogic's app masking or Ivanti application control. But specific to AppLocker, it's what are the advantages of AppLocker? This is a Microsoft-owned solution. Great. It's a very robust filter driver developed by Microsoft, the vendor of the OS. There's no infrastructure requirement. It integrates in the administration concept. And last but not least, it has no additional license because it's included in all OSs, including the client OSs. It is included. But the disadvantages of AppLocker are also existing. So it's very complex and time consuming. I think you guys will all know about it. It's very complex and time consuming that to configure AppLocker from within a group policy for the target system It's very complex. And the other stuff is application access is not really dynamic, no? which is also important. No? And last but not least, all policies in AppLocker are maybe more or less made on a group membership of the user. And that are real disadvantages of AppLocker. So what Device Trust is doing is the following. We take the advantages of AppLocker, but we eliminate the disadvantages completely. So what we integrate in the next release is a new technology called AppLocker settings. I'll show you that. And this is, end of the day, a construction kit. So what did we mean with that? So we define in our console how an AppLocker policy should made up. So we're not defining the AppLocker policy there. So we're just saying, hey, you need to build up an AppLocker policy which is following the following rules. And what we are doing, and that's really smart. Okay, clearly I'm from Device Trust, but I think it's smart because it's the feedback we got from customers, is we can do the default rules in AppLocker, that's true, but we enable much, much more. So we can use environment variables to allow certain applications. We can use file and path attributes to create the final AppLocker policy fully dynamic. And that's a big benefit. So I'll show you what I mean with that. The out-of-the-box AppLocker policy, so 1 second, let me clear up the screen a little bit. So if we would go for AppLocker default, and I think, guys, I don't need to remind you because you know how it works. The default AppLocker policy will only allow applications under program files and Windows. But we all know it's very hard to allow applications outside the standards. So if you want to do this with native AppLocker management, you need to do it manually. Every time you change something on your system, you need to add it again. And this is not smart. So this is what we are solving. So for example, we can use environment variables. So we have here, for example, environment variables called corporate app1, which are so we have customers, they deploy applications. We are software deployment tools like from Ivanti or a System Center, whatever. And during this installation, they write environment variables where this application is installed locally, because sometimes it's under C corporate app 1, sometimes it's C corporate app XYZ. So this is dynamic. So we can use environment variables in our construction kit to build up finally the AppLocker policy fully dynamic. So for example, for this application, we can also use, and this is also important, we can also use environment variables. For example, we have here something called customer Odenwaldkreis. This is where I'm coming from. We can build up also not only the application which we need to identify, we can also use in the maybe allow, deny, where you put a user group in it, we can also use environment variables to identify that. And this is something which I want to show you right now is, so in the next release, we have under settings, there's something which called Microsoft AppLocker policy. And in that option, again, you're not configuring the final AppLocker policy. What you're doing is you define the parameters on how we should build the final AppLocker policy fully dynamic on the target system. So as what you can see here, this is just the look and feel of it. We also have the standards, no? Because the overall goal is to create a whitelisted AppLocker policy. And as you can see, we can use environment variables for the path. We can use environment variables for the also for the user group membership, and then we resolve it on the target system to the real names, and that allows us to create fully automatically and fully dynamic those applications. And on the other side, what we also have added to the system is a new functionality. We had that before as well, a Microsoft AppLocker. So this is now a specific task where you can deny now an application because we build up a whitelist per default, and then sometimes some of the whitelisted apps are not allowed. Then we can go into here and we have the full range of AppLocker capabilities to deny or to allow applications based on the context. And that allows us, back to the slide, not only to define the construction kit to build up this policy on different information, as I said, environment variables and file path attributes, we have also the conditional application access. So we can also go in and can really make clear when is what application can be accessed based on the context. And the context is not only user and group membership, it's any user attribute, it's any remote device information or any data from any external sources which drives the availability of that applications. And with this in place with device trust, we eliminate all the disadvantages of the AppLocker and combine that together with the advantages which you get with AppLocker. And that's a smart new feature with 20.2.100. And we have shared that with some resellers here in Germany, and the feedback is really cool because it looks like we're going into the right direction. And I can only tell you, next week Friday we release this release. Have a few of it. It's amazing technology, and that's the major stuffs we learned from or we release in 20.2.100. The last bit is about quickly talking about. Yeah.
So, sorry, so there are a couple of questions because so that we don't shift too far from the topic. Can you answer a couple of questions now?
Yeah, I just see one, and it is: does the file-based policy support drives and SMB shares or HTTPS? Perfect. It support at the moment. It supports everything from that. What you have written down.
All right. The next question is: can you also script device trust AppLocker settings?
Can you also script device trust? At the moment, that's a good question. At the moment, that's not possible because device trust itself, the UI, doesn't have a script interface. But this comes with the next major release that allows you to use a UI or to use. We will do this based on PowerShell, to use PowerShell to configure device trust. End of the day. Yeah.
All right. Perfect. Thank you. That was it.
Perfect. Great. Perfect. Good. So I don't know, Sven, can you talk? Or maybe Alex, can you unmute Sven Janssen, please, if possible? If not, then I do it.
Yeah, I just did. So
only
unmute.
Just using my screen.
Sven, can you hear me? If you can please enable your mic because you are now on mute. Oh,
hello
yeah,
everyone.
Now
able to hear me well?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, and Sasha, you're still showing your screen, or should I show my one?
You need to share your screen now.
Okay, that's all right, not a problem.
Thank you, Alex.
So hi everyone, I'm just finishing up our session today. I hope you can hear me well, and I hope. Oh, damn it! Forgot one quick
we can
detail.
hear you well.
Sasha,
we just need the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I'm just having a resolution issue. Just give me a quick second, please.
If not, then I change back to me.
The rest of you, if you have any further questions, please do Discord. Right. All right. Go ahead, Sven.
Yeah, would you mind switching over to Sasha, please?
So I will take over now again. It's fine.
All right. You
Alex,
want me to
switch back to me completely?
Yeah.
And I do it. It's fine. That's fine. Great. So it was, as you guys know, we are all technical guys, so sometimes we have some challenges. Nah? It is as it is. So lesson learned from COVID-19 and secure remote access. So what did we mean with that? I think and this is funny, this is really funny, is we all know it was and it is still best practice to allow only remote devices to access my UC environment when they made my compliance requirements. Hey, that's not a surprise. But with COVID-19, it is a surprise that nobody takes care about that anymore. Because initially to COVID-19, it was really, we need to allow everyone to work. We don't have enough devices. We need to use BYOD. And if you, as an IT pro and an IT security guy, would say, we only need to allow, we should only allow compliant devices with an antivirus installed, etc. No, we allow everything. And that was happened this year really quite often. And the big question here is, but how can we turn that back on? And we made some really interesting experience with that questions with our customers. And we had customers which are very small, 100 users. We have customers which are 10, 20,000 users or more, and they all have similar questions, which was quite funny. And during that exercise, we have introduced a new feature of device trust, which we release also not next week Friday, but nearly after that, because it's just a template. And this is what we call status report. So, because what we learned in this all discussions with the customers, they say, oh, you know what, I need to turn on security again back, but I cannot do this actively. This is impossible because I deny access for people potentially, and I get really issues from management. So we turned the stuff around. So what we said is, and that was a requirement from the customers to say, please give me first of all a status of the remote devices. And if I have a status, then I define my compliance check, but I do this only in the notification mode, as you have seen in my first demo, just a pop-up and says, hey, until February, whatever next year, this is fine, but please enable your firewall. From February onwards, we have a really hard policy again, where you don't get access if your device does not meet our requirements. So this is what we are doing now, day in, day out with our customers, to turning around and say, let's find out first what the status is, and then enable, let's say, a nice notification policy. And then on date X, we change it to active mode. So we are back in secure mode. And that's what we're doing. So what we are doing is now we have implemented a new status report template. It's just a template for us. And for us, it's always important that we use what's there. So what we are using, we're not creating our own reporting engine. Why should we do this? There's Splunk, there's ElkStack, Kibana. This is what you see right now. We saw this on workbooks from Microsoft Azure Log Analytics. So there's a lot of available. So what we are doing is we push our data into these technologies, and we personally release dashboards for it. We will start with ElkStack as the first release, and what you see here is was the first beta of that one. So this gives you the insight of how it looks like from the device accessing your environment. And I'm switching back to the real dashboard because I have it here. So for example, you are now capable to immediately go in and say, okay, we have only devices from Germany because it's only test devices here right now. But if you're a bigger company, you see all the countries where people accessing your environment. And then you have simple selections like, are you internal, external? What kind of device type you are? You're a Windows domain joint, you're a Windows workgroup. What kind of OSs are accessing? What is the security state? And this gives you now the ability to really drill into it, as Kibana is offering that, no? with different filters. You can go in and you say, let's see if the internal access, and everything is changing to that view, and you have an immediate view on what is accessing your environment. And we do this all on standard technologies. If you want to drill down to certain domains, I have only one domain, you can look domain specific. If you drill down into user, you do this. If you want to drill down to certain countries or to the access mode, this is done very easily. And beside those dashboards, we also offer other dashboards. So this all come with a simple installer. And this is our security dashboard. So we're going now a bit more deeper into the security view. So in this instance, we have now the ability to say, okay, we have 46% on Windows. Have a look what Windows is. Oh, 50% is unprotected. That's not good. So we can drill down into it. No? Or we could say on a highest level, we could say, you know what, I'm only interested in the external access. So let's do. Then the whole dashboard is changing for external access, where you see what's coming in. You see the timestamp of your antivirus, firewall, and so on. And on the end, you always have a list which you can easily export as CSV for your additional reporting you want to do. And we have implemented, or we will implement it, in total 6 or 7 dashboards. This is just the start of it. The first beta was the normal overview dashboard. We have security, we have a hardware dashboard with all the same selection on top of the list, but having a different view of the devices. No? So you could say, what kind of hardware is accessing from outside the corporate network. Oh, we have VMware, we have Apple, or we have something which is unavailable. Okay, why? Then you can click into it and you can find out, or it's iOS or an iOS. Okay, you have the easy ability to find out what is accessing your environment down to OS level, where you also have the same kind of selector on the top. You can see, okay, what kind of operating systems we have which are connecting. Then again, you can say only external access I'm interested. Then you see only the external devices. So you have all capabilities to really drill down into your information you're interested, removing the filters. And again, is a device remote controlled? Does the device has a secure screensaver? Is this virtualized? For lots of customers, a challenge. And last but not least, the list which you can use to export the data in CSV to do an additional analyzing or reporting you want to do, or whatever. No? It's up to you what you want to do. And this will be part of our next release. Next release is wrong. Next week, Friday, is 20.2.100. And after that release, we will integrate this template. So we will provide all this information. We will start with Elk Stack as for dashboards, but we will immediately be available to push the data to an existing event log system in Splunk, in log analytics, etc. But the dashboards will follow from release to release. And this gives you now the nice overview you need to decide how your policy should look like when you go in the active mode. No? And after you're in active mode, you can still use it to analyze what's going on the outside with this stuff. And that's it. That was, I think we are nearly on time, hopefully. This is what we wanted to show you today, to give you a brief overview about device trust, about the next release, the lesson we learned from our customers, from the community, as well as from the COVID-19 crisis. And hopefully next year, at that time, we sit again. I don't know where we maybe have another E2EVC in Athens again or somewhere else. It would be really nice to sit together with you guys and have a beer and drink about technology and talk about the community. But that's it from our side. So